Hi, I'm Michael, the founder and president of EazyPaper. I nearly failed my first paper due to formatting issues, and that was after studying the format manual for hours, yet missing a comma here or a period in the reference list. So I wrote a computer program to format my paper, and EazyPaper was born. What started as a way to format my papers has turned into a viable business. EazyPaper has been sold to thousands of students in hundreds of universities around the world. EazyPaper is a product written by a student for students to solve a problem we all face. We'd all rather invest the time into writing papers, not formatting them. Let me show you how EazyPaper saves you time, money, and grades in turning a blank document into a perfectly formatted paper. The first step is to apply a formatting template for your paper. Click the EazyPaper icon and choose the format type that your professor tells you to use and the type of paper you wish to write. Unless your professor says otherwise, just keep the default sections and fill out the title page information. EazyPaper remembers the title page information I entered for my last paper, so I'll just update what's different and click OK. EazyPaper is now creating a template for my document with helpful hints on how to fill out this template to turn it into a real paper. The next step in the paper writing process is to research your topic. EazyPaper's research tools, collectively called EazyHunt, shaves off hours of the research process while avoiding plagiarism and improving the quality of your paper. Let's first walk through the tools that help with finding relevant books, and then move on to finding and downloading online journal articles with EazyHunt. To search for a book with EazyLibrary, click Hunt for References and then enter an author or a title, keyword, or ISBN to search. The ISBN is the unique barcode number on the bottom of every book. Click Hunt to start the search. EazyHunt detected that I entered an ISBN and thus deselected the other search locations and began a search of the Library of Congress. Click the search result to get its details in the main form. Thus, if you have access to the back cover of a book or can copy and paste its ISBN from a site like Amazon, then EazyLibrary saves you from having to enter the reference fields manually, giving you a perfectly formatted reference. Just enter the page number and click Add to capture this reference. EazyLibrary is even more useful when you configure it with your university library. Click Hunt to open up the EazyHunt form, and then Clear to get the Configure button, and then Configure to select your library. Click the Library drop-down to browse through the hundreds of libraries around the world that EazyLibrary supports, and then select one. Or if you know its name, just type it in and click OK. Now enter a search term and click Hunt. If you happen to live in northern New York, you can now simultaneously search two libraries that are 13 miles apart for books related to your topic, thus saving you from having to go back and forth between these libraries. With EazyLibrary, you have the world libraries at your fingertips. Another EazyHunt feature is EazyDatabase. It backs up all your references to the cloud and synchronizes them across all your papers on all your computers. Just this automatic backup could be worth it for you. We've had several cases where an EazyPaper user's computer died, but they were able to restore their database of references on their new computer because they had an EazyDatabase subscription. On the other hand, if you're like me and pursuing postgrad studies, you've built up a database of dozens or even hundreds of references across all the papers you've written, so finding a particular reference can be overwhelming. EazyDatabase solves that problem by providing a filter mechanism that works while you type. You can sort by title, author, or date, but the one I find most useful yet unique to EazyDatabase is retrieving a reference by where I last cited it into a paper. It filters your database of references as you type, thus finding a reference you used in one of your papers is as easy as clicking the filtered reference. To search the online database, click Hunt. EazyDatabase is now searching the anonymous, aggregate database of references that EazyPaper customers have referenced in their papers. Keep typing to filter search results, even as new ones are being added to the list. Since EazyPaper users are students like you, a reference used by multiple EazyPaper users is a good candidate for your paper. We call that a vote, so click the Votes column until its arrow is pointing up to sort the references in descending order. Note that the Pridham reference has a vote count of 5, which means that 5 other researchers entered this reference into their papers. I'll just click Add, and now I've voted for it too. Or if I decide that I'm not going to use this reference, I can remove it from my EazyDatabase and rescind my vote of confidence in it. That's the power of EazyDatabase. It's your research community. If you like a reference, add it to your paper, and fellow researchers will see your vote. Same with the other way. If many researchers vote for a reference, then it's probably a good candidate to hunt down in your local library. Just use EazyLibrary to see if your library has the book before making the trip down there. EazyHunt is great for doing research within EazyPaper, but most of us do our research in the browser these days. That's why the EazyPaper installer includes Chrome and Edge extensions that provide you with this Save to EazyPaper button to import the contents of the web page into EazyPaper. To demonstrate the EazyImporter feature, let me bring up an actual paper that I wrote with EazyPaper as part of my PhD studies. Click Easy Import menu and then Import Website Reference. There. Do you see the reference I imported through the Save to EazyPaper extension? Click Insert to insert a perfectly formatted footnote into your paper, and scroll down to check the updated bibliography, all without having to type in anything. EazyImporter works for books too. Go to worldcat.org, which is the world's largest library catalog, and then search for something. Select a search result, and then click Save to EazyPaper. You now have an offline copy of the citation, which is instantaneously imported into EazyPaper. Click Insert, and you're done. So with EazyImporter, you can cite practically any book you can find in a library in 2 clicks. One to save the book to EazyPaper, and another to insert it into your paper. EazyImporter supports Amazon books too. Find the book you're looking for, and then click Save to EazyPaper. Click Insert, and you're done. It just takes 2 clicks to cite any book on Amazon, whether it be a Kindle book or a regular paperback. Importing from Google Books is a similar process. Search for the book, and then click through to the page where it contains the citation data you're looking for. For Google Books, the preview page does not contain the publisher information, but the About This Book link does. Most websites, including Google Books and Amazon, don't include the place of publication, so you can waste hours hunting it down if you're using a format that requires it, like Turabian. We've solved that problem. Click Save to EazyPaper and import it into EazyPaper, and EazyImporter will search in the background to get the place of publication for you. Usually succeeds as long as the publisher discloses their place of publication, something that self-publishers sometimes don't do. EazyImporter supports importing books from other popular book listing sites, including Book Depository, Open Library, Scribd, and more. The list is growing all the time, and you can check out the currently supported list of websites in the description below. EazyImporter works for journal articles too. The best free search engine for journal articles is Google Scholar. My PhD topic is on the gift, so I search for it, and then I click Cite for the article I want to cite. EazyImporter supports all the common citation formats, including BibText, EndNote, Refman, and RefWorks. If you have a choice of export formats, though, like in Google Scholar, choose the Refman-RIS format, as it is the most widely supported and standardized export format available. Download the citation, click Insert, and you're done. JSTOR is another journal aggregation site that supports the RIS format. In fact, nearly all of them do. Exporting to RIS is a multi-step process specific to each journal aggregator, but you can usually find the export feature if you look hard enough. Just save the RIS file, and EazyImporter will automatically move it to the Download/EazyPaper folder and import it. For JSTOR, there's an easier way though. I'll remove the reference in EazyPaper and then click Save to EazyPaper on the JSTOR article page. This one-click interface is unique to EazyImporter. There's no other product out there that is as fast or as accurate for importing references as EazyImporter. It works for EBSCO too. Click once to import the reference, and then click a second time to insert it into your paper. With EazyImporter, you'll never have to type a reference again. In addition to books and journal aggregation, EazyImporter also supports major research sites like Wikipedia and reputable magazines and newspapers such as the New York Times. It's not possible for EazyImporter to support every single website out there. There's just too many of them. However, we don't have to. All we have to do is support the websites that you actually use in your research. That's why we made EazyImporter a subscription service. If you ever run into a website that doesn't import correctly, click Report Error, and we'll get back to you by email in a couple of days, as developer support is part of the subscription service. As long as the website has the required information on it, like author and date, then we should be able to support it. It's an ongoing, never-ending project to support all the websites that EazyPaper customers use for their research. So we'll prioritize supporting research-grade websites that get lots of requests for us to support. Clicking Report Error adds your vote for that particular website and increases the priority that we would write the code to support it. Since EazyImporter is a subscription service, it is in our interest, as well as yours, to respond quickly to your requests, or else we would lose your business. EazyImporter is like having your own personal researcher who will do all the data entry for you to cite any book, journal article, or website in the world, so you can focus on writing, not citing. If you consider how much time EazyImporter saves you in the citation process and the cost of paying a researcher to do that for you, then the EazyImporter subscription service with developer support is a steal of a deal. But you don't have to take our word for it. The download links to the Save to EazyPaper extension and the EazyPaper add-on to Microsoft Word are in the description below, so you can try them out for free and see if they work for you. Even with all these import tools, there are still cases where you have to enter a reference manually. Many books and magazines, particularly older ones, never made it online, so it's not possible for an online searcher like EazyHunt or EazyImporter to find those references for you. Instead, EazyPaper provides two solutions for manually building references, importing references from the clipboard and EazyExample. If you have an existing reference, you can select it and press Ctrl-C to copy it, and then click EazyImport. EazyPaper will import any correctly formatted reference in your clipboard and automatically convert it to your chosen format. EazyPaper is the only formatting software that boasts 100% accuracy. We've proven it by importing every example from the style manuals and verifying them down to the last period. Check it out for yourself at easypaper.com/proveit. EazyPaper can even import an entire bibliography. I'll just press Ctrl-C to copy multiple references from any web page, PDF, or Word document, and click EazyImport to import them into EazyPaper. And as I click through the imported references, you can see that EazyPaper parsed them all correctly and will generate correct output when I click Insert. But if you can't find the book online and there's nothing to copy and paste, then you'll have to enter the reference information manually. For books, websites, and journal articles, that's not a problem. Just fill in the fields with the information you can find, and EazyPaper will do the rest. If you want to enter optional information, click Show More Fields or the Show All checkbox to toggle the advanced fields. When you type into a field, a pop-up will show to the right giving you advanced options related to that field. Fill in that form to support the specialized requirements of your reference. Between the main templates and their field-specific pop-ups, EazyPaper supports practically every type of reference that you would want to cite in your academic career. However, knowing which fields to fill out for a particular reference type would require looking up an example in the style manual. That's where EazyExample comes in. Say you want to cite something pretty specialized, like a magazine column. Simply scroll through the list of templates you want to cite, or just type in column. EazyExample now gives you a list of all the templates in the Turabian manual that have the word column in them, such as the magazine column template I'm looking for. Note that I'm using an actual example from the Turabian style manual, in this case section 17.3 on page 191. Now I'll just update the fields with my actual column. Here's the author in first name, last name format, and as I press Tab to get to the next field, EazyPaper converts it to last name, first name format. It doesn't matter what order I enter the author's names, or even if the author doesn't have a last name. EazyPaper will figure it out when I tab to the next field. For the column, enter the title of the column as if you are entering it into a sentence. Star Trek should be capitalized because it's a proper noun, but Rules is not. Note, however, that in the generated reference, Rules is capitalized because Turabian treats titles like a headline. But if I switch to APA, which uses sentence-style capitalizations for titles, Rules become lowercase. The rest of the fields are self-explanatory, so I'll leave them as is. Page range specifies which pages you can find the column, and that shows up in the bibliography entry, while the actual quote you are referencing starts on page 129, and that shows up in the citation. Note that APA uses the full page range, but if I switch to Turabian, the second page number is elided. That's one of the Turabian rules you might not have known of, but if you use EazyPaper, you don't have to memorize the style manual examples anymore, because you can find them all within EazyPaper. Now add this reference to your database, and you're done. Now that I've created my library of references, the next step is to insert them into my paper. Position the cursor where you want to enter a reference, and click EazyImport to select a reference from your database. Click Insert and Close to insert it into your document. EazyPaper follows MLA's rules for shortening a citation. For instance, if the author is already in the paragraph, then the citation should only contain the page number. Hover over the citation to see its corresponding reference. To verify that EazyPaper updated the references correctly, press Ctrl F2 to set a quick bookmark, or use the toolbar button, and then scroll to the Works Cited list and press Ctrl F3 to set the second quick bookmark. Note that the references are in alphabetical order, and there's only one of them even though I have multiple citations to it. Click Go to Quick Bookmark 1 to go back to the first quick bookmark, or use the F3 and F2 keyboard shortcuts to jump between the two bookmarks. EazyPaper even handles the specialized cases for MLA. Click EazyImport, then change the title, and insert the reference again. MLA requires that you specify a shortened title in italics when you have multiple works by the same author. And if I press F3 to jump to the second bookmark, you can see 3 dashes and the reference is cited alphabetically by title when they refer to the same author. Whatever references you insert, EazyPaper will just do the right thing according to the MLA rules to generate a perfectly formatted paper. Now let's take a look at EazyPaper's typing, spelling, and grammar features. EazyTyper is really easy to use. Just type. When EazyTyper recognizes a word you've already typed in your paper, it will give you the top 2 completion options. You can press Enter or Tab to complete the word, or type through the word to view new completion options that match your expanding prefix. For instance, typing P rules out combined as a completion option. And if the prefix has only one completion option, then you can press Enter or Tab to complete it. EazyTyper completed my word with a trailing space, so I can start typing the next word. But if this was the last word in your sentence, just press period, and EazyTyper will delete the space for you. EazyTyper remembers the last completion it gave, so when I type the COM prefix again, it will offer that word as its first completion option while retaining your chosen capitalization. If you want to turn EazyTyper off, click its button in the toolbar or use the Ctrl-Shift-T shortcut to turn it on and off. Now that you know how EazyTyper saves you typing, let's move on to an add-on that doesn't require typing at all. EazyXray allows you to hover your mouse over any word to view its synonyms and antonyms. You also get to see definitions for each word, as well as an expanded thesaurus over what comes with Microsoft Word. Click any word, even in the first pop-up list, to replace the selected word. EazyXray works for misspelled words too, but this time it'll give you spelling suggestions instead. EazyXray lets you find the perfect word without ever leaving your paper or interrupting your train of thought, but you can turn it off too by clicking the EazyXray button or using the Ctrl-Shift-X keyboard shortcut to turn it on and off. Thank you for watching the EazyPaper demo. I showed you how EazyPaper saves you time, money, and grades in turning a blank document into a perfectly formatted paper. EazyPaper helps with the entire paper writing process, from finding full-text articles to managing references, to formatting your paper, and even saving keystrokes with EazyTyper and EazyXray. And if you put that saved time towards work, EazyPaper should pay for itself in 2 or 3 papers. Invest in EazyPaper once and reap the benefits for the rest of your academic career, and even your professional career. EazyPaper comes with a 2-day risk-free trial and an in-depth user manual that goes over these features at a slower pace and in more detail. And after you've finished your paper, submit it to Professor Randy for his team to grade your paper as if it was submitted to one of his classes, or improve your paper by up to a letter grade through his editing services. Go to the EazyPaper menu, submit paper for grading or editing to get a quote based on the length of your paper. So if you find EazyPaper a lifesaver, yet easy to use at a price that fits your budget, remember that I'm a student too, and I know what you're going through, so that's why EazyPaper was born. So write the paper, not the footnotes. I'm Michael Hugh. Take care.